Hello, welcome to the Confidence Cure podcast with Louise. Today I have the lovely Marcus Combs, and he's going to be talking to us about his personal journey and also about what he does, numerology, and all of these interesting things. So, hi, Marcus, thank you for coming. How are you?
Hello, I am doing fantastic. Yeah, it's a great day in
Good.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Great, good to hear. You've only just started your day. It's only 9 a.m. then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty early, but I have my coffee. I have one of my favorite coffee spots, so ready to chat.
Okay, amazing. So first, thanks for coming. And I just want to first introduce what you actually do for your job.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, what do I actually do for my job? So it's funny you put it that way. But what I do is I help people unlock their inner desire and their inner confidence so they can make better decisions on a regular basis. And I do that through a different or alternative method, which is numerology. So, numerology is the study of numbers. It's really over 2,500 years ago that it was discovered through Pythagoras, who has the Pythagorean theorem, if you remember that from school. And essentially the idea is that every number attaches to a letter in the alphabet. So if there's 26 letters in the alphabet, there are numbers 1 through 9, 11, 22, and 33. They get assigned to each of those numbers. And they all hold energies and properties that have been shown, again, throughout thousands of years to have certain properties and characteristics that you can trust as a pattern. And so I take that pattern, apply it to your name and birthday, and then we can start to drive your inner desires and compass as a way to make decisions in a modern world.
Okay, that's amazing. And how do you actually apply that with clients that you've got going on?
Yeah, so a lot of it's the beauty of technology, and a lot of it is just the art of learning, numerology for me. So, for instance, if you were to give me your birthday, the day you were born, so let's say you were born July 3rd, right? The third date would tell me that your natural talent and strength is the three, which is creativity and communication. And there's an opportunity for you to step into other spaces where you can really start to show how you create and build things from scratch. And so I would take that information and let you know this is something you should lean in your job. This is something you should lean into with communication with your wife or your spouse. And these are ways that immediately you can apply the numbers. And so what I've done is I've created a formula. It's called a compass, the core four compass. And I believe that there are four numbers in your name and birthday that can tell you everything that you need to make quality decisions. And they are your what, your how, your why, and your who. And all four of those things and those four numbers really start to drive your identity, and it really attaches to giving you the opportunity to communicate who you are and why you do things.
Okay, that's amazing. And have you had any not testimonials, but have you ever had any case, like not case studies, but clients where it's actually significantly changed their lives or with yourself or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. Absolutely. So, in particular, I was working with a gentleman who was going to quit his job because he was so overwhelmed with the responsibility that he had stepped into, and he simply just didn't feel qualified. We call it imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I worked with him on in particular was his core four numbers, and in his number, and that birthday number four, because he was born on the 22nd, was the number four. 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, so the 22 and the four is the architect, or it's the builder number, and they're here to build things that don't exist yet. And so the challenge he was having is he was being asked to build something that didn't exist in his business. And they knew that he had that potential, but he didn't believe it in himself. And so when I could call this out in him and then start to really show him how to leverage it through the tools that I have several different quizzes and surveys and tools that he can apply so that he can really foster and bring that out. He was able to perform in his role and now has ascended to a director level. And I believe that changed his life because now he has the confidence to know that going forward, this is something he naturally does well. And he, more importantly, has a repeatable model to go back and revisit so he knows how to apply it.
Okay. And did he actually end up leaving his job or did he actually stay?
No, no, no. He stayed, and that was the beautiful part. Yeah, that was the victory. He stayed in his job. He understood what his mission was in terms of his natural talent and how it applied to his role. And he was able to articulate that and get the help he desires. So one of the biggest things about numerology I think is important is it allows you to apply some version of a label and communicate what you do well or what you care about so that you can actually get help from others. So it's no different than therapy when you're talking to a therapist and they say label your emotions. The reason you want to label your emotions is because it allows you to have ownership and agency over what you're feeling, and then you can direct it. But so long as you're foggy, you're going to struggle to really get the help you need and then embrace what you're dealing with. And that's what these 4 numbers do for you.
Okay, amazing. And what actually got you into this? Because you haven't done this forever. What
No.
actually, so where did you actually come from? What made you decide, right, okay, I'm going to completely change and go into this? What was that?
Yeah, so I will start when I was 20 years old, okay, in university, as you would say, college here. And I had a professor. And during this time in my life, I was a biology major who just switched to a business major. So that shows how confused I was, right? I was foggy, and really all I wanted to do was make money. Let's be honest, a young 20-year-old.
Yeah.
So in her class, she's an HR professional. She said, pursue your purpose with passion and receive the payoff.
Mhm.
And I said, that is really powerful. That will get me paid. And that was not the message because I can only think about money. The message was pursue your purpose,
Yeah.
right? So when I really broke it down, I said, I need to understand my purpose. And it took me 20 some odd years to figure that out. But throughout my career, I continued to find different assessments, different strength finders, Myers-Briggs, Enneagrams, anything I could do to understand my purpose to help give me the confidence I need to live the life I wanted to.
Mhm.
So for the last 17 years, I've been in candy sales. I have been a sales director for very large brands like Mars Wrigley, Starburst, Skittles, Haribo. And I've seen a lot of, pardon me, I've seen a lot of success doing it, but
Mhm.
I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I didn't have that purpose. I was just performing. And so I found numerology, believe it or not, on TikTok about 3 years ago, just randomly scrolling. A guy was on there and he was breaking down something that really lit me up in the version of conspiracy theories and why things work this way. And I said, that's kind of neat, but it's probably just fluff. So then I found another video. So then I got a book. In 6 books and 9 months later, I'm completely obsessed with numerology. I'm studying it and I start to apply it every day to my life, right? And it still really started to wake me up and help me understand other people. So a quick plug, I believe numerology is the language of numbers, right? Or is the language of numbers, and the universe speaks the language of numbers, right? And so if we want to have an empathic world where we understand everybody and we can reduce them to a number and an energy, I found that it's been a great way for me to foster better relationships and understand people better. And
Mhm.
so to kind of land the plane here, essentially what I was able to do was bet on myself and bet on the numbers and say, I believe this is a practice that everybody should have. This is something
Mhm.
that is powerful. It is real. It is repeatable. I trust it and I want others to trust it. So it's my job to figure out how to make it approachable and not so mystical. And so that's what I've been spending time doing over the last 3+ months is evangelizing numerology and speaking and doing workshops so that everybody can have a certain level of confidence, trust, and certainty that they deserve because it's all inside of them. And that's what I discovered.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely amazing. And then the transition from going from that type of job, so the corporate world would say, or like sales and all of these things going to this, what did your friends, family, people that knew you actually say to you? Did they think you were crazy? Like, did they think it was all fluff like you'd once did? What happened there?
Yeah, crazy would be the main theme that you could take away from people that I told what I was doing. And I really led with coaching, right? So even when we started this talk here, when it comes down to it, I believe in people and I believe that they have everything they need. And my job is to help unlock that. And
Mhm.
so when I lead with that, people understand it. When I label over numerology, you kind of lose them, right?
Yeah.
And I love that challenge. And so that being the case, I did get a lot of pushback from, some of my corporate peers, obviously, people who care about me, my friends and family. But over time, what they have learned is that this is a repeatable practice. It is approachable and it's fun and different, and people light up. And it's hard to deny, lighting up people and making people feel like they belong.
Yeah, and they still watch. Are you like with them still now? Are they still like how you like what? How is the relationships now when they? How is that now with they?
So I will be completely honest. From a religious sense, some people have just watched from the outside because they
Okay.
don't know how to treat it, right?
Hmm.
And that's something I've learned over time. It does infringe upon some people's beliefs in theory, but I'm determined to help them understand it's simply the number of patterns, right? It's no different than watching the stock market every day and saying at this time of year it does X. During this season, if it's in a number, it does
Yeah,
X.
yeah,
But more importantly, I think I have received really great support, and I've awakened a lot of friends and family to the idea, not only that this can be a real thing, but they have a code inside of them and they have a compass. And for me to work and unlock that in them and to see, hey, you've known me this long and I've known myself this long, and you can quickly tell me exactly what it is I'm
yeah.
dealing with. It's fun.
It is
Yep.
absolutely amazing how it happens and how like you can tell what's going to happen in each year, what each year is for, what people's purpose are, just from a few numbers is absolutely amazing. Talking about years, each year you've mentioned to me before has a like a role. Can you talk a little bit about that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So every year reduces down to a single digit. So we're in the year 2025 right now. So 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9, right? 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 5 is 9. So the
Hmm.
9, like I mentioned, is one of the numbers that are assigned in numerology, and it holds the energy of endings, right? So this is a time for things to be released. You as a person, and really universally, us as a universe, right? And us as a people. And so this is a time where you're going to see a lot of major changes. And so this is why I believe so much we're seeing a shift into more AI, and how certain jobs and certain functions and even day-to-day ways of life are going by the wayside. Right now, we're talking about potential peace treaties in certain parts of the world that we thought were completely never going to happen, that are
Yeah.
happening under this 9 energy. And so, if you're an individual in the year 2025, right, I would suggest that you start to take stock of what you can release that doesn't serve you. I hope Louise doesn't mind me sharing that she has several nines in her chart. Um, and so it's actually comical how many nines she has. And it's also amazing how aware you are in terms of knowing that there are certain things that don't serve you that will put you in a position to get what you want and what you need, right? And so that's the theme of the 9. And for 2025, I just encourage everybody to take stock of where they are and understand what they value, and then what they can release that will help them live that and be that in a bigger and better way.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So then if you know that going into a year, will that help you prepare? Will it help you know what's coming, guide you through it as such?
Absolutely. So, when I share the core 4 numbers and I talk about them coming from your name and birthday, really we're talking about an individual having no more than 4 numbers specifically. But when I mention the cycles like we're talking about here, every single person goes through that cycle from their birthday to their next birthday. My birthday is May 3rd. So I am currently in an 8 cycle, and it will change again when I have my next birthday. The reason I share that is because every single person then experiences a number energy, right? And if you think about, each number having a different property, right? So the 1 is the Kickstarter. That's the one that says, let's be proactive and push. The 2 is the collaborator. That's when, you want harmony and you want to work together. The 3 is the communicator. It's creative. I mentioned that before. The 4 is the builder number. It's the number of systems and order. The 5 is a freedom number. So it's about, adventure and being a maverick. The 6 is what I call the guardian. So it's got a lot of loyalty. It's got nurturing built into it naturally. You see nurses and people in that space. The 7 is what we call the seeker. They require space. They're very present. And it's the number of genius oftentimes. And so that is where they're processing, right? The number 8 is the number we call the powerhouse. It's about being strong. It's about abundance and manifesting and going after things. The 9, like I mentioned, is the number of release. So if we just take that cadence, you now have flowed through what I call a push, pause, and prepare. And so you know in each year exactly what you should be doing based on that number, if you
Yeah.
have a personal number. So it's just really letting the numbers guide. And the beautiful part is we know we can't push, push, push. If you go to the gym and you work and you push every single day, you always do push drills, you always do bench press, we know that you're not working your back, you're not evening out your body, right? So it's that same principle of balance that the numbers naturally guide you through. And if you know how to treat your number for that year, then you're going to be in the right space.
It also teaches you a lot about how you can take your downfalls and how you can work with them as well. So I think you call it shadow, don't you? So you can actually be aware of them and be like, right, okay, what can I do to help with that?
Yes. So most people sit up straight when they talk about their shadows, right? It's like the negative parts of you, the part that you try to
Yeah.
hide. And I love that I can tell it to you that quick, right?
Mhm.
So I've been at several cocktail parties and events, and we'll do the fun, what's your birthday? And I can tell you, this, and like, oh, that's pretty right. But then when I tell them their shadows,
Yeah.
immediately, that's when like, oh gosh. And the best part is when you get your friend next to you that says, that's exactly you, right?
Yeah.
There's no better confirmation than your best friend or your peer at work who can tell
Yeah.
you, no, that's exactly who you are.
Yeah.
Um, so the beautiful thing about shadows is that they are the opposite side of your strengths, right? So I mentioned before the 3, great communicator, very great and creative, but that means you're also prone to being scattered. And that also means there are times when you actively don't share things because you're in a shadow and you're frustrated, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm able to do with numerology that's different than most is, as opposed to just giving you a label and saying this is a shadow, I'll give you practices to help you understand what's draining you and where your shadows might be showing up. So if
Yeah.
you can tell me that you're saying, my partner's saying I'm not as communicating as I normally am, right? I'm holding things back. Then we need to talk about exactly what it is in your chart, which would probably be a 3, and why you're not communicating and how to unlock that. Because I do not think shadows are bad. They just are something that can be flipped into a positive energy. And so in the universe, we call it the principle of polarity, right? You don't just have hot and cold, you have 75 degrees, you have 25 degrees, and there's a lot of things in between there. And so it's not so much about labeling it as bad, so much as recognizing it and then maybe turning up the volume or the degrees, right? So that you can get closer to where you want to be. And that's where control comes from, understanding these things.
Yeah, I think it's great. If you're not aware of like your downfalls, it's just that you're always going to be being pulled by them and not even realizing. But if you are aware of them, you can be like, right, this is what I tend to do. What can I do to help myself not do that? And it's a really good thing, and it's good that have you. This is a question: have you ever come across a client where they weren't aware of their downfalls, and you have to tell them?
So it's yes, I will say. I would say initially, I would say they're always aware, right? They just are denying them and not embracing
Yeah,
them. But what's unique again about the core 4 compass that we work with is that there are parts of you that we unlock that you usually don't embrace, right? So when I mentioned before the what, how, why, and who, most people always know their how and their what, right?
yeah,
Simon Sinek talks about this, Atomic Habits talks about this, right? They know exactly what they do and how they go about doing it, right?
mhm,
But they're not always aware of what their real desires are, or they embrace them, and they don't know their purpose and their why, right?
yeah,
And so I had a unique situation where I had a young lady who had a 6 as her who number, which is the number of her desires, right? And so I mentioned before that's the number of care, nurturing, responsibility, loyalty. Well, we broke it down for her in week 1, and she was beyond confused. I said, here's some tools that you can look at, and we'll go and revisit it. Come to find out, she was not feeling fulfilled in living her purpose completely, right? Because she was not consistently looking to give the care that she wanted to give others, right? So I'll give you a better example. She was looking to understand what her next career path was going to be, right? She was currently a student, and she, was doing jobs, but hadn't fully found a career and, something that she wanted to lean into. She had a science background. So while she was, going through what are potentials for her career, something she started on the side was an Instagram business that has horticulture and cactuses and things that required care, concern. Now, in her science practice, she was always showing up as creative and expressive, but she was not really feeling lit up because there wasn't this portion of care and concern, right, for her role. And so what we uncovered is that the Instagram business that she started on the side, where she was promoting cactuses, was about caring, right, for plants and how to give them the right balance they need and how to give them the right soil and water and understanding their dynamic. And so we found that she naturally leans towards that, but she hadn't unlocked that in other places. So how can she bring responsibility, care, and concern into her future roles, right? So that she can feel more fulfilled about feeling good about what she does every day.
Okay, no, that's really good. No, that one
it took a minute to get there, but that's what it's about.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Now, that's what you do, and it's just amazing how you can actually get to the core, which is why it's obviously the core for. So, in regards to like your purpose is to get this on a larger scale, isn't it? So, how are you planning on getting your purpose out there and helping people, making people aware that they've got it within them?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I'll be open in saying that my number is 11. That is my Y number. My number is to bring light to the world. It's called a light caster, to unlock and give purpose to people through their inner self. And that's why I've embraced the number the way that I have. And so with my company, Number You, what we do is we essentially work as a coach one-on-one, right? To understand your name and birthday and those core four numbers, and then start to understand exactly what you're facing as an individual, where those numbers can help you. So if you're foggy about making a big decision at work, you want to make a career change, you're struggling with your partner and, you want things to improve and you can communicate better, or even if potentially you're not the right match with that person, or really what it comes down to is self-trust. I'm your guy and this is your practice because it's quick. There's no intake, right? So I'll take you through how it works. Essentially, you would provide me your name and birthday, and I would also do a quick, assessment of what exactly you want to focus on that you feel like you need help with. We then would have a session of 60 minutes where we break down those core four numbers and then start to understand exactly what it is that drives you, right? Get on the same page. We'll give you some practices, affirmations, and some things to help you really embrace those numbers and sit with them. Then over the next 3 sessions, usually about 30 days, we're going to start to work on the specifics that you want to get as far as a goal based on those numbers. And we're going to continue different practices to help you unlock exactly what it's going to take for you to get your desired outcome. And the most beautiful part about it is you start to show up differently every single time with more confidence because you have that much more of an attachment to these labels and to these practices that I give you, to give your confidence. So really when it comes down to it, you're going to work with Number You, you're going to work through a one-on-one coach, and then that's going to unlock a community that we've built. So it's called Number Nation. And then you would get access to other people who have similar numbers and then start to really make it a lifestyle where you share openly about what exactly, lights you up, what might be holding you back, and how you can help others. And so the big vision is to have a space where everybody knows their numbers and can really help each other and be empathetic about people's journeys and root each other on.
Oh, that sounds absolutely amazing. That's exciting. Now, you doing this work now, if you look like where you used to be and you was doing like sales and stuff, do you personally feel different from what you're doing? Like, has your life changed with the people around you? So, do you feel more fulfilled? Because you said before you didn't.
That's a great question. Yes, I do. And I have done what I call a yes test. It says 10-second yes test. And if you work with me, you'll get this. But if you have the 4 parts of you and 3 of the 4 of those you can say yes to about your decisions, then you're winning, right? That's a good decision to make. And I can confidently say that all 4 of mine are a green light. And the way that I feel different and show up different is before there were parts of me in my roles that I had to do that didn't allow me to be my best self, which was unlocking people's purpose, listening to challenges they have, and trying to help them through solutions based on their imprint. So I had teams, some 6, some 20. And what lit me up most on a regular basis was sitting down one-on-one, understanding what problem we had to solve as a company and as a business, and then steering that person in the right direction, really based on knowing them, right?
Yeah.
Learning their strengths and positioning them for success. That's what I enjoyed doing. And I wasn't doing enough of that. And leaning on other people and organizations to build a culture where I can consistently do that really is what I felt was holding me back. And I wanted to put myself in a space where I didn't only impact the lives of the people who got sent to me or that I got hired or, were brought onto my team. It was more about how do I extend the reach to as many people as possible? And then how do I do it in a way that will change their life beyond just, I help you get this business outcome. Instead, it's, I help you improve the way you look at life, the way you look at others. And I helped you, get the self-trust that you deserve. And so that's been my mission, and that's what's changed for me.
And you actually feel that now you embody in it, you feel like you're actually on the right path.
Absolutely. 100%. Every day I wake up and I know, and I'm excited to know that I am here to help people unlock the best version of themselves. And if it starts as little as just saying, what is your birthday, and telling them what their strength is and what to watch out for, that changes how they go about their day forever. Yeah. Because it gives them the power and the self-trust to know, not only am I seen and I belong in this world, but I have control of the outcomes in it if I can just trust myself.
Yeah, exactly. And what's next for you? Because I know you've got a few things coming up and that things that you've been working on. What's coming out for you?
Yeah, I'm always busy. That's the part of my 3. I have a 3 in my chart. I'm a May 3rd. So I'm very creative, but I'm also scattered. And I'm laser focused on a couple things right now. So what I'm focused on right now is building this community out, Number Nation. I'm actually going to announce it today and start to, really ramp up invitations to specific individuals who I think embody this. So I've been working on TikTok and Instagram and through some other cohorts, in the entrepreneurial space. And I've identified people who can really drive the culture of this community. So that's exciting. I also have, an ebook that I'm working on so I can start to introduce numerology in a very practical way that makes it very digestible to get people in. And my dream project that I have working in the background is an app/GPT that takes those core 4 numbers and gives you the best possible day. And if you don't mind, real quick, I'm going to tell you why. The last 2.5 years, I invented a process that I've been using to help me live my why and my purpose. And what I do every single day is I wake up and I look at my numbers. I understand my strengths and my shadows. I start to understand what I want to accomplish, right, within my cycles and with those numbers every day. And then I have 11-minute breath work that I do through Wim Hof. If you're familiar, he's like the breath work king. He's the one who invented the cold plunge. He's a mind master, but it really helps me visualize and focus on what I want to accomplish. And then this practice puts me in a position to live my best day based on my numbers and myself, the numbers of the cycles, and certain habits and activities. And so I want to scale it and give that out to everyone so that they can wake up every morning thinking about their numbers instead of email, instead of TikTok, instead of worries. They want to think about how they can trust themselves and really start to build a life of self-confidence.
That's amazing. And that just setting people, the way people start their day is so important because obviously it sets you up for the day and everything. So that will help lots of people like just ground themselves, know they're on the right purpose. And so that's absolutely amazing. Literally amazing. Are you now excited?
I am beyond excited about everything that has to do with numerology. And, another fun plug right now for numerology is it's becoming more mainstream because of one individual. Do you know who she is? I'm going to put you in a test.
No.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't know. No, that's what I'm trying to see how mainstream it is.
No.
Taylor Swift Taylor Swift
Oh,
is
okay.
numerology on the map, right? So she recently, has really, embraced and talked about the role, the number 13, right? 13 normally is known as like a bad karma number, but it is the number of the builder. 1 + 3 is 4, right? They build systems. And so she's really done a lot of intentional work with numerology that I can see. And that has really opened up a lot of people to the concept of it being a practice. And I'm really excited to use my managing background and my executive background to make it more approachable and less mystical. And so between, its relevance and this message and the timing, I think it's a movement.
Yeah,
Numerology is a movement that I'm
amazing. I
determined.
didn't even know that. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I didn't know anything about that. So that's really interesting. But
I'm
no,
becoming one. I'm becoming one because she
because of
likes to
that
talk.
reason. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But no, that's absolutely amazing. Is there anything that any advice you would give to anybody listening, if they are listening, if they are going through like a rough patch or they're like not lacking anywhere, but like confidence or like they need some sort of like guidance, what would you say to them?
I would say it's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
The quickest path to change is inside of you. It's not chasing, right? It's attracting. And you attracted this podcast, you attract the right messages and listen to your intuition, right? There are 4 numbers, right, based on your name and birthday that will unlock everything that you need in terms of answers to trust and feel certain about what your purpose is in this life and the role that you play with others. And I really, really want to promote people discovering that and understanding that with numerology in particular, there are no inputs, right? So quickly, every other assessment or test that most people take, they have to tell you, how do you feel about this? What is your favorite color? All of these inputs that you put in, but those are based on things that come from you. When you're already conditioned from coaches, from teachers, from books and magazines and articles and society,
Yeah.
that makes things foggy and flawed. What numerology does, and what I want to empower everybody to know, is it knows you already. It loves you, it embraces you. It's the idea of unlocking you. And if you can do that through just your name and birthday in that level of care, then you know it's going to be real. And
Yeah.
so I invite you to start to really embrace and just be curious about, what there is out there for you.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And if anybody's listening and they want to reach out, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me in 2 places. First, you can go to numberyou.com. So it's www.numbru.com. I spell it a particular way. It has significance, but you'll
Okay.
find it, right? And the other is on TikTok right now. The easiest way to find me is marcus.combs.numerology. Um, right now, really putting out a lot of content on both TikTok and Instagram to help people quickly understand and have fun with numerology, and it sparks that curiosity. So you can find me there, message me message me your birthday. I'll help you.
Okay, that's absolutely amazing. That's really exciting as well. And it's really interesting for people that when they don't have any clue. So no, a massive thank you for coming. And thank you for coming today. It's been absolutely amazing having you.
Thank you so much.
You're more than
Great to see you.
welcome.